I arrived at the entrance of my apartment complex with my luggage and sat down on a bench in front. I lit a cigarette, enjoying the view as I waited for my wife, Emma. She cheated on me, and her lover, Lucas, was inside my house making love. Lucas was my wife's first love. They dated for 3 years in high school and broke up in college due to the long distance. A few months ago, old feelings reignited at a class reunion. They say youthful love is the purest, and that's certainly true. I've read all their chat logs, and it was all sweet nothings and romantic longing. I almost believed they were truly in love, a perfect pair of childhood sweethearts. How could they not be together? It wasn't until I put down my phone that I realized, wait, this is my wife. You two are playing Romeo and Juliet while I'm the legal husband turned villain in this story. While I was lost in thought, my phone rang. It was Lucas's wife calling. "Where's your wife?" I knew she must have realized her husband was missing again. I replied, "Don't bother looking. Your husband is at my place." There was a moment of silence on the other end before she bit back. "He's lying to me again. He said he was working late, and now he's in bed. How many times has it been this month? How many times?" I checked my notes. It's the 12th time. I honestly replied, "They're really sweet together." "Has your husband mentioned anything about divorce?" "No, he hasn't." "That's weird. My wife has pressured him many times. Last week, she almost snapped and threatened to leave me. It totally freaked me out. I thought my revenge plan was going to get interrupted by a divorce. Can you cut it out with the jokes?" Okay, no more jokes. Seriously, I can't wait any longer. I'm ready to take action, sticking to the plan. "Everything good on your end?" "All good." I hung up the phone and glanced at the time. It had only been half an hour. Suddenly, I felt like playing with them, so I called my wife. The phone rang for a long time before she picked up. "H, honey?" I replied enthusiastically. "Hey, I'm at the entrance of the community. Have you missed me?" "Ah!" Emma couldn't help but shout. "Aren't you supposed to arrive in over an hour?" "I got here early," I said. "Surprised, aren't you?" Oh, what a surprise," Emma said, and I could hear some rustling on the other end. I guess they were both getting a bit frantic. "Honey, you have a lot of luggage, right? You should just wait for me to come pick you up since you're so tired," Emma suggested quickly, showing some quick wit. "No need," I said. "I'll be there in at most 10 minutes. "What?" "Honey, we're out of cooking oil at home. Could you please pick up a bottle at the supermarket on your way? And we're running low on hand soap too." Damn it. I hung up the phone directly. I considered myself a decent person. I had been dawdling on the road to give them a few extra minutes to prepare for a getaway. And then I bumped into Lucas right at the entrance. The moment he saw me, he froze up, then lowered his head and quickly brushed past me. His hair was messy. His eyes were wide with panic. The buttons of his suit weren't lined up, and his pants hung loosely. "Hey!" I called out just as he was about to step out the door. He froze in place, unable to bring himself to look back at me. Suppressing a laugh, I pointed to the business card on the floor. "You dropped something, buddy." Only then did he let out a sigh of relief, pick up the card, and turn to leave. In his rush, his briefcase fell to the ground. Documents spilled out everywhere. It looked like he had just finished meeting a client before coming to my place. Is he really in that much of a hurry? I got on the elevator, went home, and entered the password. As soon as I stepped inside, I was hit by a strong scent of air freshener. Emma was anxiously blocking my way. Her face was flushed, breathing uneven, and her clothes were a mess. "What are you doing at home?" I dragged my luggage into the bedroom. Feeling so worn out, Emma quickly followed me, blocking the view of the bathroom. It seemed like she hadn't had time to clean up in there. Doing a deep clean," she said nervously. The bed in the bedroom was piled high with clothes. She hadn't had time to straighten the sheets and had made things messier to cover her tracks. I had to admire her for coming up with this plan. I plopped down on the bed, and the blankets were still warm. "Do you smell anything?" I sniffed. "Is there?" "I can't smell anything." Emma's expression was unnatural. I leaned in closer to her, putting on a serious face. "No, you definitely smell like a guy." Her face turned white, like someone had just choked her, and she couldn't say a word. "You used my shower gel, didn't you?" I laughed. She sighed in relief, pretending to be angry, and punched my chest playfully. Shut up. You're always so ridiculous. Wait, I shot her a glare. What's that red mark on your neck? Emma, who had just relaxed, jumped at my question. She instinctively covered her neck and stammered, a mosquito bite. In the middle of winter? Where do mosquitoes come from? Well, maybe it's an allergy. She tightened her collar. I might have accidentally brushed against some pollen on the way to work. I stared at her, amused. Before long, beads of sweat were forming on her forehead. Oh, I nodded. I thought someone had kissed you. Stop talking nonsense. She pushed me playfully, avoiding my gaze. Don't go messing around all day. I'm not joking, I replied. While I was gone, you were definitely up to no good behind my back. Emma looked like she'd been struck by lightning. Her eyes widened, and her lips trembled. I pointed to the dining table, piled high with leftover takeout. Didn't you say this stuff isn't healthy? You couldn't wait to eat it as soon as I left, right? Emma snapped back to reality and wiped her forehead. It's just that I was busy with work and without you here to cook for me. Oh, come on. Why make such a big deal out of it? In just a few minutes, I'd managed to catch her off guard 3 times, and she could barely string a sentence together. Seeing her so uneasy filled me with a rush of excitement. I could hardly wait to see how she would react when I finally confronted her about everything. I admit I might have a bit of a twisted side. That night, Emma finished her shower and flirted with me, looking for affection. I felt a wave of nausea and nearly lost my dinner. I quickly pushed her away, saying I was too tired, and flopped onto the bed, pretending to sleep. She didn't suspect anything. After a while, she softly called my name and, seeing I didn't wake up, tiptoed to the bathroom. Before long, my phone vibrated. The app one had implanted on her phone sent me all her updates. Lucas, he didn't get suspicious, did he? Emma, no, just a bit of a weirdo. Lucas, that's good. Today really scared me. Emma, what's there to be afraid of? We're about to get divorced anyway. Lucas, wipe sweat. Emma, have you talked to your wife yet? How much longer? I can't stand this any longer. Lucas, I'm working on it. Emma, still working on it? It's been so long. If you don't say something soon, I'll talk to your wife myself. Lucas, no, please don't. Divorce isn't a small matter. There's a lot we need to discuss. Emma, I'm giving you one last week. Lucas, let's talk about it then. Just one last week to go. I turned over and sat up, pulling Emma's parents, aunts and uncles, classmates, and friends into a group chat. Sorry to bother everyone so late, but I wanted to let you know that it's almost Emma's and my anniversary. This weekend, I've prepared a surprise for her, and I'd love for you all to come witness it and catch up a bit. Wow, Aiden, you're so romantic. Emma's best friend chimed in. Aiden, what anniversary? Your wedding anniversary isn't even coming up yet, Emma's mother asked. It's the 8th anniversary of us confirming our relationship. I quickly added, Mom, you have to come. We can record a vlog while we're at it. Can you give us a hint about what gift you prepared? Asked one of Emma's coworkers. I got some flowers and a cake, and I bought the handbag that Emma has been eyeing in her shopping cart, but hasn't had the courage to buy. Oh, and please keep this a secret. I want to surprise her. Ah, what has Emma done to deserve this? Did she save the galaxy in her past life? Everyone started discussing and chatting excitedly. The joyful atmosphere was almost spilling out of the screen. How come you're awake? Emma returned from the bathroom. My boss called. I lifted my phone. I have to go on a business trip this weekend and won't be back until Tuesday. More overtime? Emma pretended to be disappointed. There's nothing I can do about it, I said, forcing a bitter smile. Life is like a play. The next morning, I saw their latest chat records. Emma, he won't be home again this weekend. Lucas, looks like I'm coming over, so make sure you're all cleaned up and ready for me. Emma, shy emoji. It was sent in the early hours, almost as I was falling asleep. So eager, guess I'll see them this weekend. Weekend, hotel. I'm so excited, so excited. Emma's best friend held the flowers, practically jumping up and down. Am I the one who will lead the cheer? That's right. Emma's college roommate helped her go over the plan. You'll grab Emma's attention, and we'll take care of the fireworks. Dylan, is the camera ready? All set. My wife's brother Dylan took a group photo of us. Don't worry, I minored in photography in college. Just leave the recording to me. Aiden, you're so thoughtful. My in-laws held my hands, speaking gently. We trust you with Emma completely. Mom, Dad, I promised you before that I would treat Emma well. It's the least I can do. The gifts are all wrapped up. Emma's colleague in charge of logistics chimed in. When are we leaving? Everyone looked at me. I glanced down at my phone. Half an hour ago, Lucas's wife had told me that her deadbeat husband was working overtime again that day. Considering the timing, he should be in the thick of a fierce battle right now. We're leaving right away. I waved my hand. Everyone follow me. In that moment, I had a strange illusion. I felt like a general, leading 100,000 troops into battle. The convoy rolled into the community loudly. As we went upstairs, there was a lively atmosphere in the elevator. Once we stepped out of the elevator, everyone instinctively held their breath. The quietness felt like a balloon that was constantly expanding. Everyone was waiting for that moment of explosion. Because the password lock made a sound, I had brought the key with me. The key slid smoothly into the keyhole, gently turning the lock. My best friend was the first to enter, tiptoeing carefully towards the bedroom. Then, she suddenly threw the door open. Emma's surprise? The sentence abruptly trailed off, the S sound deflating like a pop balloon. Her mind went blank, but the others had already arrived. The second, then the third. Everyone seemed to be hit with the pause button. No movement, no sound, as if the figure lying on the bed in the bedroom was not Emma, but Medusa, turning anyone who caught a glimpse into stone. Silence reigned. Thud! Dylan's camera fell to the ground, the battery flying a meter away. What happened? I asked, knowing full well, as I called the police and walked toward the bedroom. Wait. Dylan blocked my path. His face was flushed, and his gaze was evasive, but he instinctively clutched my sleeve. I looked him straight in the eyes, wanting to hear what excuse he would come up with to defend his sister. There might be some misunderstanding. He looked at me almost desperately. Let's not get physical. We can talk it out. Misunderstanding? I pretended to be confused, glancing around the room. Everyone lowered their heads, and no one offered an explanation, but they automatically made a path for me. Then I saw a pale-faced man lying naked on the messy bed, looking awkward. He instinctively wanted to run, but the bed was surrounded by people, and his clothes and pillows were on the floor. There was nothing to cover himself with. He had no choice but to stand there, completely exposed, as everyone judged him. Emma lay beside him, covering her face with a blanket, her hair in disarray, and her exposed calves continued to tremble uncontrollably. I knew this scene had reached its climax. Generally speaking, there are two ways to handle catching someone cheating. If I were a man of passion, I would charge in without hesitation and give those two a beating. If I were a lovesick man, I would grab Emma by the collar. Oh wait, her collar is on the ground now. I should shake her shoulders and ask her why she would do this to me. But I'm not at all. I'm a cunning man, and I'm here to expose the truth. I kicked Lucas in the face and shouted, "Why are you bullying my wife?" Then I hugged Emma tightly and gently asked, "Did he force you? Why didn't you tell me if you were in trouble?" The crowd stirred, and I heard a heavy sigh from Emma's best friend nearby. From everyone else's perspective, I had put a lot of effort into surprising my wife, but at that moment, I caught her cheating. While feeling deeply betrayed, I still chose to believe my wife, thinking there had to be a reason behind it. What kind of perfect man? Now, I have the moral high ground. Emma, what do you have to fight me with? I won't let you bully my daughter. My father-in-law understood my meaning first and gave Lucas a hard slap, swearing his loyalty to me. "You beast, I'll kill you." With my father-in-law leading, Dylan immediately followed up with a punch to his face, causing blood to splatter from his nose. Then, Dylan grabbed his hair and dragged him off the bed. Lucas shouted in surprise and tried to grab Emma's hand. Emma was pulled so forcefully that she fell sideways, the blanket slipping to the floor, leaving much of her body exposed. She screamed, frantically trying to grab the blanket to cover herself. Seeing this, my mother-in-law hurriedly stepped in to help her daughter shield her body with the blanket. But Dylan was relentless. Hearing Emma's scream only made him pull harder. "How dare you touch my sister?" Emma and my mother-in-law stood no chance against Dylan's strength. In the end, this tug-of-war ended in a complete victory for Dylan. Emma was left completely exposed to the air. I caught a glimpse of someone in the crowd, secretly recording on their phone, subtly shifting their position. Taking photos without blocking the camera is basic etiquette, right? Who called the police? Outside, the police had arrived. I quickly stepped forward, grasped the officer's hands, and said with a broken voice, "My wife has been raped." The officer was taken aback for a moment, then patted my hands to console me. "It's not rape. It's not rape," Lucas exclaimed in shock, suddenly finding strength to break free from Emma's relatives who were surrounding him. "We know each other. She called me here. If you don't believe me, ask her." The officer shot him a disgusted look, then turned to Emma and asked, "Do you know him?" This was the second dilemma I posed to Emma. If she denied knowing him, Lucas would be charged with rape, and he'd definitely argue back, revealing all the details of his affair with Emma. It would be a dog-eat-dog scenario, and it would surely be entertaining to watch. If she admitted to the affair, this statement would become an important basis for claiming emotional damages during our divorce proceedings. No matter what the situation, I'm not losing out. Now, the pressure is on Emma's side. Her mother had fetched her a nightgown, and everyone was looking at her, who seemed a bit dazed. "Do you know him?" the officer asked again. "Please answer truthfully." Emma nodded. Lucas let out a sigh of relief. Her father's face changed drastically, and he slapped her hard across the face. "How did I end up with a daughter like you?" I wasn't surprised by the outcome. Anyone with eyes could see that they must know each other. Besides, among those present was also one of Emma's high school classmates. But the show had to go on. I pretended to be in disbelief, shouting that it couldn't be true as I rushed out of the house. Revenge has entered its second phase. I found a gaming hotel, booked a week, and then turned off my phone. I pulled up the game that had been gathering dust in my favorites and officially entered my paradise of fun. When I got tired of playing, I ordered takeout, watched a movie, and chatted with various internet experts on social media. Life was fulfilling and joyful. For a moment, I felt like I had returned to my college days. No one was pushing me to endlessly strive for a bigger house or a higher salary. No one was glaring at me for taking a break. The joy I experienced in those 7 days surpassed the total happiness I felt in my 5 years of marriage. Indeed, one only learns to cherish something after losing it. You don't know how great being single is until you've been married once. A week later, I turned off my phone's Do Not Disturb mode. The phone buzzed for over half an hour, and scrolling through it, I saw a long list of unread messages. Taking a quick glance, I noticed that Emma and her family were frantic trying to reach me. My in-laws said that Emma had completely changed, and as long as I was willing to give her another chance, she would follow my lead without question. They made it sound so genuine. Meanwhile, the gossipers were offering their condolences while speculating about the situation. As I went through the messages, I realized that this news had exploded on the first day, causing quite a stir in the local community. Local news outlets and social media influencers were all sharing and commenting on it. I found myself included in the discussions about why men are reluctant to marry these days. The next day, Emma's family didn't leave the house. The neighbors' gossip almost drowned them out. On the third day, Emma's workplace released a statement. They claimed that Emma's actions had severely tarnished the company's image and reputation, leading to her dismissal. Emma didn't dare go back to pack her things. The company sent someone to just toss all her belongings into the trash. On the fourth day, I was quite absorbed in all of this. Then her family called me. "Hello." I answered. "And you finally picked up the phone." Her dad sounded as excited as Columbus discovering a new world. "Where are you now?" "We want to find you. We've had a good talk with Emma these past few days, and you still have feelings for her, so don't." "I'll come to you." I interrupted. "Some things are better discussed face to face." "Okay, sure. But Aiden, you two have been together for so many years. Please don't make any impulsive decisions." "So many years together?" I used to think Emma and I would grow old together. But after reading the conversation history, I realized that hidden among the cracks of our life together was someone else's shadow. Emma pursued me, not because of her supposed affection for my steady and ambitious nature, or because I look good when I'm working, but because she was furious over Lucas flirting with other girls and needed someone to take it out on. Getting married 3 years later and bringing the wedding forward by 6 months wasn't about seizing better opportunities, but just to get back at Lucas by marrying the day before him. In the first 2 years, Emma got pregnant but terminated the pregnancy without discussing it with me. She claimed, "My career is on the rise, and we're still young. We can have kids later." In reality, Lucas had gone back home to develop his career, and they reconnected. In romance novels, there's always that unforgettable first love and the plot twist of rekindling an old flame after many years. But if you want to stay pure, then stay pure. If you have the ability, just don't get married at all. You two act so high and mighty, putting on this idol drama while dragging me into the mess. It's just so disgusting. Dylan was already waiting at the entrance of the community. As soon as he saw me, he came over excitedly. This guy was wearing a hat and a mask, looking like he didn't want to show his face to anyone. On the way, he hesitated several times, wanting to say something, but ultimately not saying anything, just giving me a light pat on the back. When his parents saw me, they also looked guilty. After all, I looked disheveled, with deep-set eyes, and my face was a mess from staying up all night playing video games, with bloodshot eyes crawling with red veins. I looked like someone who had been hurt over love. Aiden, this whole situation is Emma's fault. We've had a serious talk with her about it. Can you? I raised my hand to interrupt his dad, my voice hoarse. Where is she? It's better to clear things up face to face. Right. Aiden is right. Let the young ones handle their own issues. Aiden is a good kid. I trust he knows how to manage things, his mom said. You can scold her if you want, but life has to go on. I pushed open the bedroom door. Emma was curled up in bed, staring blankly at the window. When she saw me come in, she shivered and didn't dare to look at me. After not seeing her for days, she looked much more haggard. Her lips were chapped, her eyelids puffy, and it was clear she had cried many times. Why was she crying? Regret? If she had been a bit more careful, I wouldn't have found out, right? Aiden has something to say to you. Make sure you talk to him properly, her mom said with concern. Do you remember what I told you before? As the door closed, the room fell silent. Emma continued to stare at the window, but her knuckles were turning white as she gripped the blanket. Let's get straight to the point, I said. What are you planning to do? After a moment, Emma finally spoke. I'm sorry for what happened, but we should break up. Is this the result of having been lectured? I wasn't surprised at all. I knew Emma's temperament too well. She was soft under pressure, and the more I pushed her, the more she would resist. Besides, the love she had longed for half her life was right in front of her. How could she possibly let it go? But for now, her resolve just wasn't strong enough. I continued to stoke the fire, saying, "What if I refuse?" She looked up at me and softly replied, "Aiden, a forced situation never ends well." "Ha, that's amusing," I chuckled. 3 years of dating, 5 years of marriage, a legally recognized relationship, and now it turns into a forced situation? What did I force you to do? Did I hold a knife to your throat and make you marry me? I'm sorry. Emma closed her eyes, tears streaming down her face. I can give you compensation, as long as you agree to divorce. At that moment, my father-in-law, who had been eavesdropping outside the door, could no longer hold back. He stormed in and slapped her across the face. I told you to stop talking nonsense. Divorce? Go live with that wild man. Let the neighbors laugh at you. Emma covered her face, shouting, I want a divorce. He is my first love, my true love. I've already had regrets in my youth. I don't want to spend the rest of my life living with regrets. Anger burned in my chest, causing my heart to ache with every beat. You little brat, if you keep talking like that. My father-in-law was ready to strike again. I said, fine, I'll let you go. But does he really want a divorce for you? He will definitely do it. You don't understand us. Really? I couldn't help but scoff. That seemed to ignite Emma's fighting spirit. I will prove how much he loves me. All right, you better prove it to me. The day after leaving Emma's house, her parents kicked her out and publicly declared they had no daughter. The couple cared a lot about their image, so I wasn't surprised by this outcome. But now, all of Emma's options have been cut off. Her white moonlight has become her only salvation. However, unlike Emma, I've made sure Lucas has an escape route. First of all, his wife is still pretending she knows nothing. For one, his wife is out of town. Even if things get chaotic here, she should be unaware. Secondly, her social circle doesn't overlap with Lucas's, and no one is going to squeal. So even though Emma can't leave the house for a while, the fallout from Lucas is nearly zero. Work continues, drinks get consumed, sleep happens, and food gets eaten. To keep my mind at ease, I've tried a few times to gauge what his wife knows. The reason he's so scared of her is because he's dependent on her for his livelihood. A couple of years ago, he lost everything in a stock gamble and lost his job. But riding on his pretty face and slick tongue, he attached himself to a wealthy girl. His wife is the only child in her family, and they own 2 factories. Although Lucas has held a nominal second-in-command position at the company for the past couple of years, his father-in-law has shown signs of delegating power. However, the stocks remain under his wife's name. Lucas might look good on the surface, but he could be replaced at any time. It's all in the hands of his wife. So, the bright future that Lucas and Emma bragged about, $1 million annual salary, actually has a lot of inflated hype. It's no wonder Emma, even if she's leaving with nothing, is resolute about breaking things off with me. Dominating CEO, white moonlight, first love, second chances. Buffs stacked up, according to romance novel logic. I, the supporting male character, am destined to be trampled underfoot by the main character. Too bad real life isn't a romance novel. Lucas's love for her is definitely questionable. Those in the game are often lost in it. Emma thinks Lucas is plotting for a divorce. In reality, I can see at a glance that Lucas simply wants to play around with other women. His wife is out of town, bearing their children. His first love is nearby, ready to risk everything for him. He's spending his wife's money, enjoying the love of his first love. He's managed to have all the good things in the world. I quickly divorced Emma. She signed the papers without any hesitation, no dragging her feet at all. She even came with makeup on, so it seemed like she had a date later. Watching her walk away without a backward glance, I extinguished the last shred of pity I had for her. I turned and called Lucas's wife to let her know that it was time to wrap things up. At exactly 6 o'clock, the app alerted me that Emma had ordered takeout, and she even added a note for the delivery person to bring a pack of cigarettes. I put on the delivery uniform and knocked on the door, pretending to be the food delivery guy. When the door opened, Emma's expression was like she'd seen a ghost. "What are you doing here?" I smiled slightly. "So, are you two still together?" Emma immediately tried to close the door. "What's it to you?" I quickly wedged my foot against the door. Emma shoved me a few times but couldn't budge me, and in a furious tone, she said, "Aiden, we were divorced. You have no right to interfere in my personal life." Inside, Lucas heard the commotion and came to the door. Seeing me shudder uncontrollably, he might have recalled the fear of getting his face beaten up. "Get out of here, or I'll call the cops." Emma snarled, her vicious expression making me feel nauseous. "Go ahead and call. Just make sure you accuse me of breaking and entering, and then let the owner of this place confront me directly," I replied. At this, Lucas's expression changed dramatically as he hurriedly stopped Emma, saying, "Come on, you two were a couple once. Don't make this more embarrassing than it already is." I couldn't help but admire this pretty boy. He was quick thinking, still trying to play the good guy at a moment like this. I laughed. "Look at that. Your new husband actually gets it." Lucas forced a smile, looking a bit awkward. I added, "You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'll give your wife some credit too. You really know how to handle things." I took out my phone and pulled up his wife's number, casually showing him the cheating video from that day. "Let's send this video together. It'll give your wife a little shock." Emma let out a scoff. "Aiden, I thought you'd have some better tricks." "Go ahead and send it. He's getting a divorce anyway, so what's he got to be afraid of?" I took a sharp breath. It was the first time I'd seen a mistress so confidently brazen. Just as I was about to nod in agreement, Lucas grabbed my hand No, man, let's talk this out. Emma's smile froze on her face. Lucas, what do you mean? Lucas completely ignored her. Are you short on cash? I can help you out. Just name your price if it'll get you to delete that video. I chuckled. Aren't you in a hurry to get divorced? Lucas looked miserable. Emma gritted her teeth, pulling on Lucas, wanting to confront him face to face. As soon as he turned his head slightly, I would immediately pretend to hit send. Sure enough, Lucas obediently turned back toward me. I was on his right, and Emma was on his left. It turned into a tug of war, making it tough for Lucas. Finally, he snapped, shoving Emma hard. Can you just chill for a second? Can't you see there's something going on here? Emma fell back, hitting the ground, and took a long time to get back up. Did her butt and heart both shatter into pieces? I then added fuel to the fire and started reading aloud their affair quotes. Emma, I've always liked you. If it weren't for the kids, I would have left her a long time ago. It was all my fault back then. You have no idea how regretful I am, regretful to the point of despair. Now, fate has given me a chance to start over, and I will cherish it, holding your hand and never letting go again. I love you, Emma. There's no man in this world who can love you like I do. I read a few lines and paused, clearing my throat, almost choking. Stop. Lucas's pretty boy face turned red. Just name your price. I don't want money. Don't assume everyone places such a heavy emphasis on it like you do. I said, right now, you have two choices. Either you hit her once, or I send this to your wife. Take your pick. Almost the instant my words landed, Lucas didn't hesitate for a second and slapped Emma across the face. Smack! A crisp sound echoed, lingering in the air. The world suddenly fell silent. Emma turned her face, her hair cascading down, and a red handprint slowly appeared on her pale cheek. She sat there in shock, and gradually, two streams of tears flowed down her face as her body began to tremble. I squatted down, gripping Emma's chin, looking directly into her eyes. I spoke slowly, word by word. Is this the kind of love you want to prove to me? This great love that you'll chase even if it means losing everything? I thought you were more important to him than that. My words were said. It was time to exit the scene. Just as I signaled for my departure, Lucas's wife's furious screams erupted from outside the door. Lucas, how dare you support a mistress behind my back? This woman stormed in with several burly men, grabbing the pretty boy and giving him a few slaps. When we got married, how did you promise me? You use my money and still dare to put a green hat on me. Divorce. We're going to get a divorce today. Get out of my house. The burly men grabbed the pretty boy's limbs. He turned his head to look at me and yelled, "But you said you wouldn't say anything." I shrugged. My bad. I accidentally sent the text message because my finger slipped. Then his wife landed a kick aimed at his groin. There was a dull thud, and I could swear I heard the sound of an egg cracking. The pretty boy's eyes bulged, his body curled up, veins popping on his neck, and his face turned crimson like it was about to bleed. Not just me. All the men present instinctively tightened their pants. The pretty boy lay on the ground, curled up like a massive shrimp. Stop pretending to be dead. Get up. Right now. Come with me to get a divorce. Wife, I was wrong. The pretty boy struggled to squeeze out a few words. His wife wasn't buying it at all. And why would she? After holding it in for so long, would a few words really change her mind? The pretty boy reached out to grab his wife's foot, but she stomped on his hand with her high heel. Darling, he could see his wife starting to disappear from view. The pretty boy quickly got up and chased after her. The room was soon left with just me and Emma. If you don't ask him face to face today whether he wants his wife or you, how can you be okay with this? I said softly. Are you willing to settle for less? Hearing that, Emma indeed got up to chase after them. So, on the bustling night market street, people quickly witnessed this scene. A woman walking briskly ahead, followed closely by a man with his hands pressed together as he continuously apologized. Behind him was another woman, hands on her hips, questioning him. Which of the things you said to me is true? Do you want me or her? Be clear. It was obvious she was confronting a mistress. The onlookers loved to see this kind of drama unfold. More and more people gathered around. A few who were eager for entertainment even whipped out their phones and started live streaming the scene. Wife, calm down. Lucas almost knelt down to beg. You already have a stomach issue. Getting angry will only make your health worse. Such sweet talk. His wife sneered. Sounds nice, but if I'm furious, you would be just fine bringing that mistress home, wouldn't you? The pretty boy looked miserable. Oh, I could never. It's all because she seduced me. Emma was already annoyed at being ignored, and now she was so angry she nearly couldn't catch her breath. Lucas, explain to me what you mean by she seduced me. The pretty boy continued to disregard her, promising his wife, please forgive me this time. There definitely won't be a next time. The child needs a complete family. His wife shot back. Even a dog knows not to have two masters. I spent so much money, and if I just raised a dog, at least it would know who its master is. I want a divorce. She caught sight of Emma, and her anger flared even more. And you even let her wear my pajamas. Damn it, Lucas, you really have some nerve. At that moment, the pretty boy turned around and yanked at Emma's pajama top. Rip! In a flash, Emma was left completely exposed. Not even I could react in time. The pretty boy held up the torn pajamas like a trophy, offering them to his wife. Wife, your things are always yours. His wife was left dumbfounded. Are you sure this will work? I rented a room in a hotel with Lucas's wife. Don't get me wrong, it's purely a friendship. From the window of this room, I could see Lucas's house perfectly. Do you still not trust me? I laughed. After working together for so long, what part haven't I anticipated? I want him to not get a single penny. Lucas's wife still seemed a bit uneasy. Don't worry. I told Lucas's wife to let Lucas know that it's fine if they don't divorce, but they must completely cut ties. As soon as Lucas heard this, he eagerly patted his chest to assure me there would be no problems. He even said he wanted to record the whole negotiation process to show her. Knowing Lucas, I couldn't imagine how heartless he'd get with his words. And Emma's reputation would be ruined, and she would be abandoned. With her personality, she definitely wouldn't let this slide. The day for negotiations was today. I lit a cigarette, leaning by the window, waiting quietly. Several hours passed, and there was still no word from inside. His wife wanted to send a text to check in, but I stopped her. I had a feeling something big was happening. Sure enough, several police cars raced over. Blood-soaked Emma calmly got into the police car. A cornered rabbit will even bite you, let alone a mother tiger. A murder case born out of a love dispute. Due to emotional conflicts, Lucas arranged to negotiate with Emma at home. But unexpectedly, Emma came prepared and drugged him. Subsequently, Emma killed Lucas. After her arrest, Emma remained calm, claiming this was the price Lucas had to pay for his betrayal. In a headline-sized block of text, this was the final resting place of that love. I ignited the newspaper as the cold wind swept the scraps into the sky. In the distance, the lights of thousands of homes twinkled. Tonight, the moon was bright and the stars were few. The story ends. This story is entirely fictional. Any similarity to real people or events is purely coincidental. If you enjoy my videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you very much.